Welcome to the 7th video tutorial for the Skyrim creation kit. Traps, the poisonous apple of every good creation. Level designer Drew Langlois is here to help us pick our way through the various pitfalls and pratfalls of trap design. Without further ado, here's Drew.
To start, we're going to place a portcullis in our Lokir's tomb to explain the basics of Activate Parenting. Go ahead and load up our Lokir's tomb cell, hit A to turn on the lights, and then we're going to go over to the double door that we placed on the way to the boss chamber. We're going to go ahead and replace this with a portcullis so that we can explain the basics of how Activate Parenting works. So just go ahead and hit delete to nuke that. Next, under World Objects Activator, we're going to filter for portcullis. And we're going to go ahead and place nor portcullis large 01, and making sure that we have grid snap and rotation snap on, move that to place in the hallway. It should be lined up so that both sides are flush with the doorway. Now we've got the portcullis, but no way to activate it. So next, again in World Objects Activator, we're going to filter for pull chain. And we're going to place nor pull chain 01. This is a Nordic variant that fits with the Nordic ruins. Rotate that to be flush with the wall. And we're going to hit Q to turn snapping off, and Z hold to move that up a little bit, just to make it a little easier to see. Now we've got our pull chain and our portcullis, but we need to make them hooked up together. The way we do this is through an Activate Parent relationship. Double-click on the portcullis to bring up the reference info. And then we're going to go ahead and click over to the Activate Parents tab. As you can see, there are no Activate Parent relationships right now. What an Activate Parent relationship is a way of saying that when my Activate Parent gets activated, activate me as well. So we're going to go ahead and make a new one. This looks pretty familiar from other ways that we set up link refs and things like that. So we're going to select the reference in the render window, and then double click on the pull chain. And now we can see that we've got the pull chain selected. We've also got an activation delay that we could put if we wanted a delay between when the pull chain is activated and the portcullis starts moving. But we're just going to leave that at 0 for right now. So now we hit OK, and as you can see, there's a new line going from the pull chain to the portcullis. It's that blue and white line. The white end is the Activate Parent. The blue end is the Activate Child. So now when this is activated, it will tell its child to go ahead and activate. Often we'll place a second pull chain on the other side of the portcullis to make sure that the player doesn't pull the chain, run through, and then get themselves trapped. So we're going to duplicate that, move it over to the other side, rotate it around to be flushed with the wall, and go ahead and move it into place. We'll move this one a little bit down. We're going to go ahead and do an Activate Parent relationship again. Activate Parents tab, new, select reference, double click on the pull chain. There it is. So now there's two Activate Parents. This way, a single reference can be activated by multiple objects. This is often used for portcullises or traps. And that's it. So once the player goes into game, they can pull either of these chains and it will open or close this portcullis. In the previous tutorial, we said that we would go over placing a boss in this one. Now that we know the basics of Activate Parenting, we're going to go ahead and do so. To find an ambush setup, we're going to go back to the cell list in the cell view window and just start typing warehouse. This is going to take us to the list of warehouses that we've created for a lot of our prefabs, crafting, furniture, things like that. So we're going to look for the warehouse ambushes, which should be in the top of the list. I'm going to zoom out here. So what you're going to see is a lot of different objects, leveled actors, furniture, and these boxes, which are called primitives. A primitive is a type of object that we can make in the editor That can either be a collision object or, more often, a trigger that'll sense when an object or an actor comes inside of it. The area that we're looking for is over here with all the sarcophagi. These are all Draugr setups. So we're going to go ahead and copy this one over here, which is a basic Draugr sarcophagus setup. So to do this, we're going to go ahead and select the leveled actor. We're going to select this orange furniture marker. This is what the actor is going to lay down in. We're going to select the trigger box, and then we're also going to select the sarcophagus and lid. Now that we've got all of these selected and only these selected, we're going to Control C. When you copy a set of objects that have activate parent or link ref relationships all together, that relationship is maintained when you paste them. Now we're going to move back to Lokir's tomb. Go ahead and rotate and then move over to our boss room. When you paste something, it's pasted more or less where your cursor is. So we're going to move over to here and then paste these and then drag them off into the void. This will just make it a little easier to work with until we're ready for them. So we're going to deselect everything by clicking in the void. Next, we're going to select the actor, the furniture, the sarcophagus, and the lid. We're going to leave the trigger alone for right now. We can move all of these things around without breaking any of those links. The line is just a visual indication of what's in the data. So we're going to go ahead and move it into here. And we've got snapping off. So we can move it as much as we need to without changing anything. So we're going to go ahead and move it to here, rotate this so that it lines up. And we're going to go ahead and try to get it approximately where our other sarcophagus is. So it looks good. And let's check the height and move it down a little bit. This orange part here is where the lid is going to end up after it comes off the sarcophagus. And it looks pretty good. So now we're going to hit 2 times to hide those references. Then we're just going to go ahead and select this sarcophagus and delete it because we don't need it anymore. Now Alt-1 to bring back our new sarcophagus. We're going to go ahead and move the actor out of that little corner just to make him a little easier to find. It doesn't matter where you place him because he's going to already start in the furniture when the level begins. We're going to open him up, and as you can see, right now he's a level Draugr ambush melee one-hand male. We want him to be a boss, so we're going to go ahead and Control F to replace him with a boss. So in here, any of the level Draugr ambush types are acceptable for any Draugr ambush. So we're going to move up to the top of the list and use LVL Draugr ambush boss male and hit OK. Next, we're going to double click on him and go to the leveled actors tab and set him to very hard. This will make sure that he is a difficult level when you come here. We'll often save this just for bosses where we want a really hard challenge. So now we've got our boss placed and the sarcophagus and the furniture, and they'll all be activated by the trigger box, but it's off in the void, so we need to move it in. Now, as you can see, our trigger box doesn't really cover very much, so we need to resize it to cover the room. Hit 2 to bring up the resize gizmo. Trigger boxes, because they're created in the editor, can be scaled non-uniformly, unlike other objects. So each of these arrows is going to move that edge out in that direction. So we're going to start by pulling the green arrow to about there so that it covers just inside the doorway. Then we're going to use the other green arrow to cover the back end of the room. Rotate around here and pull the red arrows to cover both the other sides of the room. Don't forget to rotate to the side so that you can cover the height of the room as well. And now we've got our basic boss ambush placement. As you can see, once the player comes in here, this trigger box is set up so that the boss will pop out right away. Another tool available to us to provide interesting surprises is traps. We can find these in warehouse traps. This is a pretty big cell that has a lot of different stuff in here, so it's a good idea if you're looking for interesting ways to spice up your dungeon to go ahead and COC to here and just walk around, probably with TGM on because it's pretty dangerous, and see what tools are available to you. This is the area where we started when we COC'd here, and we're going to go ahead and move over to this corner where we're going to find a mace trap, as you can see here. Next, we're going to select the tripwire that's connected to it and Control-C to copy both of those. Then we're going to move back to Lokir's tomb. Zoom out here, and we're going to place this down in this hallway here. Control-V to paste, Shift-F to zoom in. And as you can see, the activate parent relationship is maintained. So now all we have to do is move these around to where we want. Move this up to unbury the tripwire, and then we're going to click on the mace to have just that selected. Move it to about there. Try to center it a little more on the hallway. Move that up to the ceiling, and we'll check the top post. That looks like it's seated okay. And then we're going to go ahead and move the tripwire. It's actually pretty good. We'll just move it over a little bit and up a tiny bit more. And now we've got our first trap placed. Easy as that.
So we've clocked our level at 32 frames per second, but we must go faster. Justin Schramm returns to make unoptimized levels extinct in our next tutorial. Visit CreationKit.com for more information.